very um a little disturbed a little bit about this, but other than that, it just caught my eye. That's all. You. Thank you.
Hi, Douglas. This is Stephanie from the Valley Air District.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm so sorry.
Hi.
It's been a while. I can see you.
Hi. Thank you for that feedback. We appreciate it. We do try and add our number to the end of all of our emails, but that's a good point that when you call that number, they'll probably ask who you want to speak to. So if you can't remember to direct them, to myself, Stephanie, or else Rocio, you can always ask to speak to someone in the AB617 program. And they'll always connect you to someone on our team too, if that's helpful. But Douglas, maybe if it's helpful, I can have Rocio give you a call tomorrow and then you can jot down her direct line. That way you always have a number to call directly.
But do I do? But I do. But when did she give me her email? Because I don't remember if she gave her email as well. I do not know. I don't remember. Because I tried to call and go back further email a year ago until that's when I found the number there. So I don't remember Rocio have her number before or not. I don't know. I don't remember at the moment.
Hi,
That's all.
Okay.
Douglas. This
Hi.
is Rocio. I
Oh,
can I can send you an
I'm
email.
confused. I'm not trying to attack nobody. I just okay. So
No,
okay, go
no
ahead.
worries, Douglas. What I can do is send you an email. I can do that shortly right now. And on there it has my phone number to my office.
Okay.
And I know you mentioned to me that your cell phone no longer works, so maybe if you can provide me a phone number, I'll be more than happy to reach out to you.
Well, I would. It was just a temporary thing. I definitely planning to get another phone with the same number tomorrow, so it wouldn't be that long to get it changed by the following month when I get paid. So that's why it didn't. I didn't want to give too many of my number, like my house number, my brother's number, mobile. So it'd be a little bit confusing. You know what I mean? So I was trying to limit that. But yes, the number that I gave you is my house number. But I'm pretty certain that I will have my cell number, old number, back again this week. That's all, Rosia.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah, we'll reach out soon.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Thanks for your understanding. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Douglas, for pointing that out. This is Laura, and yeah, we'll be sure to connect you with Rocio and Stephanie so that you can get your questions to them before the meeting. Awesome.
Yes,
Looks like,
thank you.
of course, Douglas, thank you. Looks like we have a good amount of folks present, so I think we can go ahead and get started. And as always, this is just housekeeping. So as folks trickle in, they'll be able to get an overview of our housekeeping. All right. So welcome everybody. Good evening. Just making sure everything's good. All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to your 56th CSC meeting. As always, thank you so much for your ongoing presence, input, and collaboration in the implementation of AB617 in the Stockton community. We really appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your busy lives to join us today and create change for cleaner air in your community. My name is Laura Martinez, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Amy Ramos and Jared Zachary. And we are from Harder & Company Community Research, and we are delighted to be facilitating your meeting today. As you may have seen on the agenda, today's agenda is designed to engage in building consensus around urban greening and vegetative barriers, both of those proposals, and to provide you with SERP implementation updates. But before we get started, let's go ahead and walk through some logistics. I know that this is familiar to many of you, but it's always helpful to have a refresher. So let me go ahead and share my screen and the presentation. Give me 1 second. All right. Can you all see my screen? Yes. Awesome. Thank you for the head nods, folks. So before we get started, please go ahead and mute yourself and make sure your full name and organization are showing on your screen name. To change your screen name, click on the top right side of your picture and video. So as you can see here, there's the 3 little dots. Then this pop-up will show up, click rename, and you can rename yourself that way. So CSC members, you can use the naming convention CSC-first name, last name, and residents R-first name, last name. All other participants, you can use first name, last name, and affiliation, such as AD or CARB, and P for general public. And all other organizations, please write your organization name. And the meeting host may update your screen name during the meeting. That is either myself, Jared, or Amy. We can support you with that. If you need help, just ping us and we will, we're more than happy to change the name for you. As a reminder, having the right screen name is important for CSC member attendance tracking. So if you're part of that stipend program, it's crucial to know that you were here present for the majority of the meeting. To link your phone and audio, you can go ahead and click that little caret next to the unmute button, switch to phone audio, and you can connect your phone and your audio to video, just to ensure that there's one person per attendee. Again, please update your screen name using this naming convention. I'll leave this here really briefly, just in case folks need a reminder. All right. So our virtual meeting etiquette, please stay on mute unless you are speaking or planning to speak, and you can use *6 if participating by phone. Please raise your Zoom hand to ask a question during a presentation question and answer, and you can use *9 if participating by phone. As mentioned, residents in the stipend program should stay for at least 75% of the meeting to be eligible for a stipend. That's 90 minutes of a 2-hour meeting. And please state your name before sharing a comment to allow for smooth interpretation of our conversation. Our goals or our group agreements to have a productive discussion and respectful dialogue is we will help achieve the meeting goals by focusing on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue. We will let everyone participate by stepping up and stepping back. We will be civil and respectful. It's okay to disagree, but please be respectful, empathetic, and civil. Stay on point and on time. We will keep comments brief and to the point, and this will allow enough time for everyone to participate. We will attack the problem and not the person by respectfully challenging ideas or outcomes, never attacking the person, and honoring everyone's humanity and dignity. And we will also seek common ground by building consensus and finding shared values that will help achieve the best results. So we ask for folks to keep this in mind, and you all do an amazing job at adhering to your group agreements. It's always helpful to have that reminder. For today's agenda, we are partaking in welcome and introductions. We will then review the action items tracker. After that, we will go into urban greening and vegetative barriers proposal. So we're hoping to build consensus around this, and this will take up a good chunk of the meeting. We will then transition the conversation to SERP implementation and outreach updates. And we will wrap up our meeting with standing updates, a quick wrap up of next steps, and public comment. All right. As always, if there's any other group agreements that you'd like for us to add, let us know during these meetings, or let the Air District know, and we're more than happy to add those and implement that into our practice moving forward. We sadly do not have a co-host for today's meeting. However, as a friendly reminder, if you are interested in being a part of this facilitation for this meeting, we invite you to consider volunteering to be a community co-host for future months. With that, I will pass it to Stephanie from the Air District for welcoming remarks.
Thanks, Lauda. This is Stephanie. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Tonight feels to me, and I hope to you all, a pretty monumental meeting of getting to make a decision on the urban greening and vegetative barrier proposals. I know that's a really high priority measure to so many folks on our CSC, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. as well as really looking forward to providing you all some updates on some of our SERP measures. Thank you all. I just wanted to thank, and just for transparency, we do have a couple of folks, new faces that have been to some of our meetings, that are here from Little Manila Rising, and kind of they're one of their collaborators, Hyphy Design, joining us for the meeting, as well as a couple of handful of Air District folks that are joining us to support the meeting as well. So I'm looking forward to tonight, and with that, I'll pass back to the Harder & Co team.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. This is Laura. We will now transition our conversation to reviewing the action items tracker. And as a reminder, the action items tracker is a tool that we use to help develop transparency between the Air District and community members. The Air District continually updates the tracker to ensure your voices are heard and progress towards implementing your suggestions are being made. As a reminder, at the end of every meeting, we do read the action items that we captured throughout the meeting. And you are all encouraged to add any action items that should be tracked that we may have missed during our taking notes. And as Rocio provides updates, please feel free to ask for clarification. So Rocio, looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. This is Rocio. I'll go ahead and share my screen to get started with today's action items. So today we have 3 action items from the completed section. So I'll go ahead and move on to there. So starting off with the first action item, at the last CSC meeting, I know CSC folks had questions to see if mopeds, e-bikes, and scooters were allowed on the sidewalks in the Stockton community. So we did go ahead and follow up with the city of Stockton, and they let us know that mopeds, e-bikes, and scooters are not allowed on sidewalks, and a scooter can only be ridden on a sidewalk when entering or leaving adjacent property. So moving on to the next action item. At the last CSC meeting, the CSC reached consensus to add funds into the residential lawn and garden measure to support adding an additional 400 lawnmowers and hold additional lawnmower distribution events. So we're super excited about that, and we'll make sure to share any updates on this with the CSC. And then on the last action item, so the CSC would take time to go through Little Manila Rising's vegetative barrier and urban greening project proposals and be ready to make a decision at today's CSC meeting. So to assist with this, we did go ahead and send out a reminder email to the CSC with those proposals attached. And we're looking forward to the conversation on that today. And that completes today's action items. I'm happy to pause here and see if there's any questions or clarification that folks need.
This is Margot. I have a question, not on the ones you read, but the next one down. CARB will follow up on innovative research, exploring the link between weather patterns and air quality. And it says that this is complete. So did I miss something in the past meeting? Did we get a report?
Hey everybody, this is Kyle Goff with CARB. I have not actually given a report on this quite yet. I did do some digging internally at CARB on this. I got some responses about this question from a couple folks in our research division and our air quality planning and science division. But they were interested in getting a little bit more information as well, and as am I. I know if anybody has any kind of like links to the like the articles that were referenced in the meeting a couple of months ago, I could keep doing a little more digging and get a little bit more of a more substantial response. Basically, my colleagues back at CARB weren't able to give me too much extra any extra context really without more info. But yeah, I just thought I'd give an update right now. Sorry, everybody.
Thanks, Kyle. This is Margot again. So do we need to change that to not complete?
Thanks, Margot. This is Stephanie. This was actually I think a pretty specific question that came from Douglas. And then I think our commitment was to kind of just follow up with Douglas to see if there was any information that CARB could dig up about, I think, an article that he had come across. So if Douglas, you let us know if you'd like us to continue to follow up on this item.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can, and if not, then Douglas, maybe we can, when Rocio is reaching out to you about the contact information, we can have Rocio reach out to you about that article as well. And if you want us to kind of follow up on that.
This is Laura. Hi, Stephanie. That's a question specifically for Douglas right now, right?
This is Stephanie, correct. And I think since we're reaching out to Douglas about contact information, we're happy to follow up with him offline about that, that article.
Okay.
Oh, hey, this is Kyle again. 100% agreed. Just wanted to chime in on that.
Okay. I think that's helpful. Thank you. Debbie, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. I think we'd all like to hear it, the answer. So I think that needs to be moved to probably needs to be incomplete.
This is Stephanie. Yeah, we're happy to while we're following up with Douglas, and we can share kind of the findings or in this action item.
Okay.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you. And yeah, I think we'll write that down as an action item for this month. So Air District will update the CSC on CARB's innovative research. So Debbie, did you have another question or was your hand? Okay. Thank you. All right, any other questions folks may have for Rocio around the action items tracker? Right, this is Laura. I don't see any other questions in the chat or any hands raised. So I think we can go ahead and transition the conversation. Thank you so much, Rocio, for taking us through the action items, tracker, and progress. As mentioned earlier, we're going to be focusing a good amount of time on the urban greening and vegetative barriers proposal. So at this time, we're going to transition the conversation to talk a little bit about that and to have that discussion. And as a reminder, during last month's meeting, Little Manila Rising presented an update where on where they are in their proposals for both urban greening and vegetative barriers. So these are two different proposals that they are working on and that they both shared or that they shared a progress report on. Little Manila Rising was the only organization that applied for this work when the Air District put out solicitation. So again, friendly reminder for that, just some context. And as Rocio highlighted, an action item for the CSC was to take some time to read through the proposals and to be ready to make a decision at this meeting. So today the Air District is really looking to build consensus on whether you would like to use the funds you have allocated for these projects or not. We are hopeful that we can come to a decision today, and as always, we will follow your lead in this decision-making process. So just putting that out there that if at any point you do feel that this is rushed or you just don't feel ready to make that decision, we will follow your lead and we will bring it back at a future time. But Stephanie will be talking a little bit about the timing implications that has. All right. So yeah, we will now hear from Stephanie, who will provide an overview of what it would mean for you all to move forward with funding, with using the funding available. And we also have Little Manila Rising folks present who can answer any questions and concerns that you may have at this time. So Stephanie, looking forward to your presentation.
Thanks, Laura. And I have just maybe some context, and then I have a few slides to help carry on the discussion. But I think maybe between that, we're happy to take any last questions that folks have or comments that you all have now that you've kind of had a month to kind of digest and process and hopefully take a look at the proposals. I mentioned at the start of the meeting that this feels like a pretty monumental meeting to me, and I hope to you all too, because we actually began this process back in 2021, which is quite some time ago, with our tree subcommittee, which I know a lot of you sat on that subcommittee to help support and move forward with the project plan, the opening of the requests for proposals or RFP. And it's really culminated over the past few months. We've gotten to a point where we have proposals that we are able to move forward with. And so in the last meeting, the CSC did have the opportunity to hear from Little Manila Rising and Hyphy. It's been, over several meetings now, but really in this last meeting to hear updates on the proposals and ask any questions that they had. And in that meeting, a few CSC members did recommend kind of tonight being a time that we see if there's support among the committee for these proposals. And just for some context and background, in your SERP, you've always had $1 million. I know it's been since the start of the SERP, a really highly prioritized measure, and you've always had a $1 million funding allocated to urban greening, and $1 million allocated for vegetative barriers work. And the decision kind of ultimately that we have tonight is whether or not the CSC feels that these proposals are what you'd like to see these funds in the SERP spent on. And so with that, I maybe just want, Laura, I think maybe if we want to open it up to any questions or any comments or feedback that members have, now that they've kind of hopefully had a chance to review the proposals and think about it a little more.
This is Laura. Yeah, that sounds great, Stephanie. Thank you for suggesting that. And I do see, Debbie, you have your hand raised, so go ahead.
I have some questions, and I have to say that I talked with Nico yesterday, and I want to say thank you to Rocio for arranging that. But I am even more excited about this than I was before, because they have everything covered. I went into minutia that we hadn't discussed, and all the way down to how the bag is going to operate if you have sprinklers, and the water bag is how they water the tree, and how many people they have to do this function at this time, to do this process. And Nico was telling me that they've got 5 new hires, and these 5 new hires come from AB617, and they are possibly disadvantaged, and they have the opportunity to learn at their 15-week program to learn urban forestry. So it's not a drop in the pan where they learn for a week and they, fill it all in a week. It's 15 weeks, and it involves everything involving this program and urban forestry. So it's really exciting. People are going to be trained thoroughly, and we have 5 residents that may not have had a career path before, and they could have a really good career path in the future. So it's not just it's a win-win for all of us. And since anyone can get a tree, it's not just low income or middle income, it's anyone can get a tree. So we should be seeing trees pop up in neighborhood yards And we even talked about like a little sign that says this tree was planted by Little Manila Rising. And if you're interested, contact us, type of thing. Just so, a little bitty like a alarm stick-in sign. But I'm very excited. So I hope other people are too. And if you get a chance, talk to Nico because it'll make you excited too. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
This is Laura. Yeah, thank you so much, Debbie, for that context. And sounds like you had a great conversation with Nico, and you're looking forward to coming to consensus with this measure. So that's exciting. Exciting
I'd like
news.
to
Love
say
to hear.
something. Dr.
Yes.
Farrell,
Okay, Dr. Farrell.
yes, I want to get a understanding. You mentioned that the scrub is a different project and the tree planting is another project. So Little Manila has, from what you're saying, have put in application for both of those proposals. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right, Dr. Farrell.
Okay. And so what extent of the area or the territory that they will be servicing for those projects?
This is Stephanie. I'll start, and then we do have Nico here joining us, as well as I think I saw Brent and James here as well. Generally, the projects, similar to all of our other SERP incentive measures, serve the AB617 boundary, but I know, Nico, you have a few locations and spots that you all have kind of identified that you all want to work in. Do you want to say a little more about that?
Please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Nicholas Tamayo, Urban Forestry Director at Little Manila. Our plan is to survey the entire project area for planting locations. We go neighborhood by neighborhood. So unless we get direct requests to plant trees in specific places, the way that we maximize our staff time is to create a engagement strategy and a surveying strategy where we kind of move across the project area by block, and so the goal is to survey the whole project area. And since we already work in TCC, the TCC boundary, we already have a good idea of the planting spaces where the two boundaries cross over. And so we'd really be focusing on all of the neighborhoods that we haven't been able to work in, which is, Boggs Tract, the area around Washington Elementary School, the Yosemite Village, parts of downtown, and then on the east side, we aren't able to currently work north of the Crosstown Freeway to a big extent. So working in those neighborhoods and south of Brotherhood Park. That's sort of our cutoff for TCC. So the neighborhood south of Brotherhood Park in Sierra Vista, and building more partnerships with the housing authority over there as well. So that's our plan. I hope that answers the question. The goal is to cover the entire project area.
My question is, what about B Street to Arch Road, those areas where trees are limited?
Yeah.
Down.
Yeah. Like I said, we want to cover the whole area, and our strategy is sort of dependent on neighborhood champions, saying, hey, I live on this street. I would really love to see more trees. We try to do what we do as much as we can just by driving and walking every neighborhood and going on Google Maps. But if we can get directed to specific locations that people know need trees, that makes the process quicker. And so if any of you have locations that need trees, we have the phone line ready to go. We answer it very quickly and we respond quickly to get out in the field and get the work done. So that's how the process would look a little bit if we haven't already surveyed the location you're talking about.
All right. Well, what I would like to recommend from 8th Street back to Arch Road, around B Street, Airport Way, Pollard, those sections. There's a number of new houses tracked, and no trees is in those areas. If you could take a look at that and include that into your project, we appreciate that. Thank you.
We definitely will. Thanks, Eugene.
And just to chime in here, we talked about this a little bit during the last presentation, but a big component of both the veg barrier grants and the urban greening grants is to use, pretty sophisticated tools and modeling efforts that includes traffic data, health data, wind data, and to use our pollution modeling software to prioritize locations that would be best suited for vegetated barriers and urban greening. So that's a big component also, along with on-the-ground surveying and community meetings. So that's a crucial part of both of the grants as well.
I have a question. I mean, a statement. I just wanted to concern. I'm enjoying this proposal and everything that's going along with it. I only have one thing that I'm concerned about is that if there is along with the designated areas and along with those things, and there is a developer or somebody buys property or eminent domain, that we have something in place to go back and replace or do whatever we need to do to finish up the projects that we started that will get disallowed.
Yeah, thank you, Everett. Not sure if Stephanie, you have a follow-up before getting to Mary Elizabeth's comment.
Maybe look to Nico if you all have any. I think we do all have kind of some plans laid out for requiring ownership of the land and understanding who owns it before doing the planting. Nico, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, definitely. We don't plant trees on private property without a signed maintenance agreement. And so that's a commitment to keep the tree alive for the duration of its life, both on our part, the property owner, and if it's on city right of way, that's also an agreement with the city. So the city has their own ordinances around tree removals. And so if a tree is removed because of construction, the last I checked, I don't think they have a replacement ordinance currently, but that's something that we would love to advocate for and see as an outcome of these projects. But our policy currently is if a tree is removed for any reason, whether it's vandalism or theft or death, or if we haven't encountered this exact situation, we replace the tree. And if the location isn't available anymore, for whatever reason, we find the next closest location. So I hope that answers that question. We haven't encountered that, but those are some of our sort of solutions to those types of situations.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Laura, thank you so much, Nicholas, for your response to that question. Mary Elizabeth, I do see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. Just this is for Dr. Everett. So if it's a new subdivision, the city of Stockton may have some approval that when they approved the subdivision, that subdivision included some vegetation. And I would check with the city to find out, and that would probably be Public Works or Community Development. Yeah, Community Development. Talk to Community Development if it's a fairly recent subdivision, and find out if there's what were any requirements for that and what the city has to say, because we do have to hold each other accountable. Thank you.
Correct. That was Dr. Farrell's account right there. But that you're absolutely right. That it's in part of their program.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Elizabeth. This is Laura. Wondering if there are any other questions or comments coming up for folks around these two proposals before we dive a little bit further into Stephanie's presentation, the Air District's presentation, and what it means to use the funds that you have available. Margot, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate what what everybody has said so far. It all sounds very positive, and I'm excited that it's coming a little closer to fruition, and I really hope we come to a decision today. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Looking forward to the presentation. Thank you.
This is Laura. Thanks so much, Margot, for that. I think that's a great segue to get us going into a little bit more in depth. So I'll pass it to Stephanie.
Thanks, Laura. I have two slides related to urban greening and vegetative barriers. They'll look pretty familiar, but I think kind of as the CSC has recommended, kind of today being a day that seeking whether or not folks are supportive of these proposals. Oops. Let me just make it full screen here. I do have two slides. I'll go over them, and then maybe I'll look to the Harder & Code team to maybe lead the exercise for us to kind of build consensus, but I'll go over with these two slides. And as you all know, these are two separate measures. I know we talk about them very similarly. They have similar goals of planting trees, but they are slightly different, and they do have their own funding associated with it. So we're going to talk about them a little separately at this point. But the first slide, they're pretty similar slides, but overall, the first slide is about the urban greening proposals. And again, the decision really is, we do have $1 million allocated for urban greening, and the decision kind of before you all today is whether or not that $1 million you all feel is suited, or feel like it's, the funding you all want to go towards the Little Manila Rising urban greening proposal. And so if you do support that, what that would mean is that the district will work to contract with Little Manila Rising. And what that essentially means is we'll just enter into contract with Little Manila Rising to be able to pay them and to be able for them to be able to begin implementation on this work. And if you don't support this proposal and maybe need some more time to think about it, like Laura said at the beginning of the meeting, that is something that we can think about. But in addition to that, that is something kind of that we'll need to, if it is the case that folks, don't find this proposal kind of suitable for that funding, it is something that we will need to kind of reassess next steps with our grants team based on kind of funding deadlines. I think, as you all know, and we've talked about in our CSC meetings, the funds that we do have through AB617 do have liquidation deadlines tied to them. And for this process, you all might be familiar that we went through a request for proposal process. And it is kind of a lengthy process to have someone resubmit. And we did open this proposal twice and have Little Manila be the only applicant for it. So if we did reopen it, we're kind of not sure of what that would look like. So again, if there are folks that are not supportive of it, the district would look to kind of reassess next steps and look to understand some of those funding deadlines a little bit better. My next slide, it'll look very familiar. And so we do have also $1 million for vegetative barriers. And so similar to urban greening, the decision is whether or not the CSC feels that the $1 million in the SERP should go towards the proposal that we see from Little Manila Rising. So yes, would be supporting that proposal. so that the district can enter into contract with Little Manila Rising to begin for them to begin the implementation of this work. And if not similar, it would be similar for the district to kind of reassess and kind of look into funding deadlines, so we can understand next steps. With that, I will go ahead. I'm happy to take any questions that folks have about this set of slides. And then happy to pass back to Harder to kind of facilitate this exercise.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. This is Laura. Thank you for taking us through that. I'm wondering if we can dedicate this first part to seeing if folks have questions about the urban greening proposal. So specifically about the urban greening proposal, are there any questions coming up for folks? I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, and I'm not seeing any questions raised.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Dr. Farrell.
Dr. Farrell.
I would
Yes.
like to understand what type of vegetation will be planted in that area. What type of scrubbery?
For the urban greening grant, we have the city's list of approved trees that we sort of use as a baseline. And then we worked with we worked with Hyphy to create a secondary list of drought tolerant species of trees, species of trees that are primarily evergreen and conifer. So they have they have needles rather than broadleaf. And those are better trees for knocking down pollution and trapping pollution. So the list of trees is for both projects are in the proposals. For the barriers, there are understories and upper stories for those to really mitigate pollution. And so some of those trees may look and grow more like shrubs and bushes. And then some would be growing as larger trees. And then I think ground cover options are always things that we look for to, mitigate bare soil. And so there's also some species that can grow as ground cover potentially, but primarily large evergreen trees are what we have on the vegetated barrier species list, and then combinations of cypress trees, madrones, maples, pines, oaks, native oaks, and drought tolerant species that you may find in Southern California more right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nicholas. Sounds like there were no questions for urban greening, and there were some questions about vegetative barriers. Are there any other questions about vegetative barriers that folks may have before we go into consensus building? I see Nate. There's a question in the chat. Let me read that out loud. Nate asked, is Little Manila Rising subcontracting with the tree foundation that is doing work for free within tree inventory?
We aren't aware of the work that the Stockton Tree Foundation is doing, so that's a connection that we can make. We've primarily just been hearing about the upcoming inventory work from the city standpoint, and waiting for the RFP to come out for that. So that's a connection we'd love to make.
Thank you, Nicholas. And wondering, Nate, is there anything else you'd like to share around that? Looks like you're okay. I was like, looks like you're typing, not sure if you were replying back, but okay. Okay, Nate said 1 moment. Will a local arborist be trained or hired? I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah, I know you're talking about arborists locally. We don't have a line item to contract with a certified arborist in this project. That is something that we are hoping we'll be able to do through other projects. And the hope is that before the project ends, um, between myself and our current community foresters and potentially some of the folks that are currently in our Green Paths program, which is the 15-week training program that Debbie referred to. Some of those folks may become certified within the project timeline. You have to have 3 years of in the field experience or, relevant education to get your certification. And so I hope that we have some certified arborists on the payroll rather than in the contract section of this project before it's all said and done. But yeah, we don't have a contract line for it. Oh, and I would just want to reiterate, HIFI does have certified arborists currently on their staff. Brent just reminded me they have certified arborists on their staff.
This is Laura. Thank you, Nate, for those questions. And Nate also said thank you for following up on this. Great questions, great dialogue. Are there any other questions around vegetative barriers or urban greening? Alrighty, I don't see anything in the chat, and I don't see any hands raised or anyone going off mute. So I think we can dedicate this time to Steph, if you'd like to reshare your screen for urban greening. I think we can take it step by step and do urban greening first. So as Stephanie mentioned, Little Manila Rising urban greening proposal. Yes, you support funding the urban greening proposal, and no, you do not support funding the urban greening proposal. So we're hoping to come to a consensus around this. And as a friendly reminder, voting members include all CSC members except government officials. And we do see that there are a few alternates present and only the primary is able to partake in the voting. So I don't see any other questions going up around urban greening proposal. So is there anyone who would like to state their opposition to the urban greening proposal? If so, please unmute yourself and let us know. So if you are opposed, if you do not support funding the urban greening proposal, please unmute yourself and let us know. Okay, it looks like all of you are in favor to move this proposal forward, and per your charter, we will move forward with using funding for Little Manila Rising's proposal for urban greening.
Great.
Congratulations, CSC. We are moving this forward. So that is a yes for urban greening proposal. Steph, can you please transition to vegetative barriers? Okay, again, similar to the last slide, Little Manila Rising's vegetative barriers proposal, yes, means that you support funding the vegetative barriers proposal. No is that you do not support funding the vegetative barriers proposal. Similar to last voting for urban greening, voting members include all CSC members except government officials, and we do see a few alternates present and only primary is able to partake in voting. Is there anyone who would like to state their opposition? If so, please unmute yourself and let us know. So if you are opposed, if you do not support funding the vegetative barriers proposal, please unmute yourself. It looks like all of you are in favor to move this proposal forward, and per your charter, we will move forward with using funding for Little Manila Rising's proposal for vegetative barriers.
Wonderful.
So congratulations, CSC. Amazing job. And now it looks like both proposals are moving forward. Amazing. And I will pass it to Stephanie to see if there's anything else you would like to add before we transition our conversation.
This is Stephanie. I just wanted to thank everyone on the committee, especially those that have been working in the tree subcommittee kind of for a few years now to bring these two proposals to fruition. Just wanted to thank all those, all of the committee members, and I just especially wanted to thank Little Manila Rising and then also Hyphy for submitting these proposals, and we're so looking forward to the continued kind of collaboration that we have. Just as a quick next steps for everyone is that, like I mentioned in the presentation, our district team, grants team will reach out to kind of Little Manila Rising and work to contract with them. And of course, as the work begins and as Little Manila Rising and Hyphy, if they need any kind of support from the CSC, this is, not the only time or this is not the last time we're going to hear from them. We definitely want to continue to bring Little Manila Rising and Hyphy to our meetings to have updates and hopefully have the whole CSC out for a planting soon. Nico or anyone from Hyphy, I also just wanted to open the floor if you all had any last word, or not last words, but words that you wanted to share with the group.
Yeah, I just saw Mary Elizabeth raise her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Elizabeth, I'll give you the floor first.
Oh, just a quick question. Is the tree subcommittee going to meet again?
This is Stephanie. Mary, did you have a thought of what, if there is an ask and a reason kind of for that subcommittee to meet? We can definitely work with you all. If there's something that's specific you're thinking of, please let us know.
Well, I guess, since we don't have any firm locations, they might have some interest to find out what the tree committee might have to say on helping decide.
This is Stephanie. I love that idea. And Nico, maybe I'll pass to you for maybe thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what Brent wrote in the chat, that we plan to come back to the committee as we make progress on the data analysis, when we finalize the species palette for the entire project, when we have the maintenance agreement forms finalized. These are all things that we want to put in front of you all so that you all understand the language that we use and our approach. And this is also a community-led project. So we want to be able to get in front of you all and discuss and strategize ways to do outreach into the community. You all are champions for our urban forest. And so, it's our full intention to be very frequently in these spaces with you all.
I just wanted to make a statement. I'm very happy and pleased that that we went through with these proposals. And one of the reasons why is that I grew up in this area, and I'm still living in this area now. And I don't along Hazleton Avenue to the end, past the public health department, we used to have trees that covered the whole city. I mean, the whole street, that was like a tunnel and everything. But yet they allowed the things that the different types of things to come in and kill off the trees and made them diseased. We need someone in our area that can go, that will not working for the city, but working in the community to help us. Another thing, Stribley Park, we have trees there that are diseased. They've got worms in them, and different other places, and we need to be there to help support and get our trees back to life. And I'm grateful that we're starting off, and we can go from there and dive in to let these people know that, you know, we need to breathe.
Hello. I will be raising my hand for a while. My also congratulations to Little Manila as well. And the only concern that the budget, you know, the budget be accountable. So when they're giving the fund, the grant or whatever it may be, and see whatever left over to be accountable in every situation. Are we going to be able to seek that out as well? Thank you.
Uh, I'll say, yeah, I think anything left over, I fully just to be upfront, I fully expect the budget to be utilized in full. But if there are funds that haven't been allocated by the end of the project, we'll defer to the Valley Air District and the subcommittee's, you know, guidance on that.
Thanks, Nico. And this is Stephanie. Just as a reminder to folks, this is the way that we run this program is through a reimbursement basis. So Little Manila does the work and gets reimbursed for that type of work. So that it really is kind of like as it's being done, we'll be able to see kind of progress and, like Nico was saying, like reassess if there's changes with that budget as the project is unfolding. So it's something that we'll all definitely keep track of.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
If
thank
I
you
can
all.
just add a follow-up, our sort of policy for grants is if we have leftover funds, we like to plant more trees. And so you know, if that's an agreement that we have as a community, that's our preference as always, is put that money to more trees. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. That's probably how we would want to allocate the funds, and we'd hope that you all would be in agreement.
Laura. Yeah, thank you, Douglas, for that question. I do see, Margot, that you have your hand raised.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? I think it's gone. Oh, I know. It was when Nico was talking about, Mary Elizabeth had asked about reconvening the tree committee. And Nico was talking about bringing reports back. And I think versus Nico coming to the tree committee, I would really like him to come to the whole group as a whole, because I think we'd all like to hear updates, not a long drawn out a report, but updates on how things are going. Because I think the trees, you know, that was one of the key SERPs that we all focused on right from the start. And I believe I agree. More trees is better, Nico. So we'll see where we are. Thank you.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, go for it, Dr. Farrell.
Okay. A statement was made earlier about contacting the city. These houses has been in existence over 15 to 20 years from B Street back to Arch Road, and the city have not done anything. So this is why I propose this to Little Manila to investigate, because this has been neglected. This is why I'm on the committee, to bring up my side as well as the other people's side. The people in the downtown, in the central area, are getting benefited. We are grateful for that and thankful. But also, I'm pointing out there is a neglected area of Stockton that need to be investigated. So this is why I propose and they consent in investigating from 10th Street, from 8th Street back to Arch Road, that section, which has been in existence over 15 to nearly 20 years.
This is Laura. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Farrell. Wondering if Nicholas, you have anything you'd like to add in response?
Yeah, again, we really are planning to listen to folks who come and speak directly to us. Part of this project is, as James said, to do the air modeling and get hard data that we can follow to plant trees. But a big component that is our bread and butter is to do this through outreach, through being boots on the ground and walking in these neighborhoods, hosting events and forums so that you all can speak directly to us in person about your concerns, your experiences with tree planting. And so we will have the opportunities to have these conversations in person. And I see this every day when we go out in the field, these neighborhoods that have been neglected, that have never gotten trees planted or never had planting strips built on the streets to begin with. And it's our mission as a program and as an organization to reverse that in any way we can. And it starts with, having these conversations more and eventually bringing the city to the table. We've had good experiences with them being open to these projects more so than I know that they have been in the past. So I hope that we can make some really real progress with this project together.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. This is Laura. I see Debbie, you have your hand raised.
I don't want to keep talking, but I'm so excited about this. But I can say that if we remember, the city had monetary problems, the bankruptcy. I don't know if that was during the bankruptcy. I don't think it was. It was right after. It may have been at the end of it. I don't know. But so they may have not pushed, maybe they promised or something. So that's something we can investigate. And then, I think it's up to us to hold the city accountable. If they promise trees to those people, that they need to pay for. So, even if it was 15 years ago or 20 years ago. So that's just my little 2 cents about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. This is Laura. Yeah, I think all your feedback is great, and I think it's something that Little Manila Rising is taking a note of and really appreciates your insight. Before we transition, I do want to read off a couple things in the chat. A few things in the chat. There's a lot of congratulations to Little Manila Rising. Folks are excited to see the work moving forward. And also, Ivy mentioned that they will be coming back to the committee as they make progress on the analysis and design developments. And Nicholas from Little Manila Rising said that they'd be happy to join the CSC to give updates. So looks like it's going to be a collaborative approach moving forward. So really looking forward to that. All right, well, again, congratulations, CSC and Little Manila Rising. Great, great to hear that from you all. And by that, I mean consensus from you all. And yeah, I think we will go ahead and transition our conversation. So I'll pass it to my colleague, Jared.
Hi, everyone. This is Jared speaking. I wanted to say congratulations again. I'm super happy to see the momentum and the decisions to really be committed to cleaner air in the community. So yeah, another congratulations. For this next agenda item, we'll be going through SERP implementation updates, where we'll be reviewing recent SERP strategies and SERP progress, including the passenger vehicle replacement and residential air filtration measures. These 2 measures are at the residential level, and as a reminder, AB617 is designed to reduce emissions And some of the incentive measures, like the two we're going to be focusing on today, will support measures within the boundary. The passenger vehicle replacement measure aims to reduce emissions from gas-powered vehicles currently in use in the Stockton community, and the residential air filtration measure aims to improve indoor air quality. The Air District will also be sharing outreach updates during this time as well. Like the other agenda item, we encourage you all to ask questions and at any point during the Air District's presentation by either raising your hand or typing it below in the chat. With that, I will hand it off to the Air District for the presentation.
Thanks, Jared. This is Stephanie again. I have a few slides to share. We have some exciting SERP implementation updates, and kind of to wrap us up after my updates, we will actually have Cass providing us some outreach updates. We wanted to provide you these updates last meeting, but we had such an engaging discussion that we didn't quite get to them. So I'm going to do a few slides talking about kind of some progress with some of our SERP measures and then pass it off to Cass to update us on some of the outreach that's been going on in the community. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And I will show you all this first slide setting us up for the presentation, but I'm actually going to skip ahead a few slides to get us to our Clean Air Rooms update. As a reminder to folks, our Clean Air Rooms program, we call it Clean Air Rooms, but essentially I think you all know this program better as just, free air purifiers for residents in our Stockton AB617 boundary. Currently, the table that you see here in front of you is kind of the progress that we've made on this measure. And so, as you all know, we worked really closely with you all, and especially the Indoor Air and Weatherization Subcommittee, to allocate $1 million in the SERP and that gives us about 5,000 air purifiers to distribute out in the AB617 boundary. So far to date, we have spent a little over $220K on this measure, and that's about 1,139 units distributed into the community, which is amazing. With that progress, we have remaining a little over $770,000 and a little over 3,800 units remaining. And just as a little bit of context and background, since the program opened up, the district has been working with, of course, the CSC. I think you all are some of our best advocates in the community for getting involved in this program. I know we send tons of flyers to you all share with your neighbors and friends. And we've also been working with a lot of CBOs, including ones on our committee, but also ones that we work with regularly to conduct outreach on the program. This includes us also planning our own events, attending a lot of events that are happening in the community to sign residents up for this program. Some of the examples of some of the outreach that we do to get folks aware of the program and participating, we do tons of social media posts. We do a lot of direct outreach to schools, community centers, and other community hubs like libraries and just places that a lot of residents in the community would visit. And then also, like I mentioned, coordination with different community-based organizations or CBOs. And that also includes, we recently received an environmental justice grant to work with some CBOs. We call them our Community Air Program Ambassadors or CAPA groups. We actually work with a lot of you are familiar with SB. We work with SB's group also through this program to do a lot of great clean air information like outreach to folks, and that includes specifically signing folks up for this Clean Air Rooms program. We've attended kind of since the program opened 30 events to sign residents up for the program, and that's us directly being there with like a device or an iPad is typically what we take out to sign people up, or events that we physically bring purifiers out to sign them up and distribute that day of the event to kind of cut down on that shipping time. It doesn't include the numerous events where we kind of are chatting with people or just handing out flyers for this program. Including those, it's definitely way more than that number. So a lot of great outreach and a lot of units out to the community. Some information we also wanted to provide is just generally, I've been kind of discussing the involvement of, or kind of the participation of how we've done so far to date. And And just wanted to share kind of some general participation and trends that we've been seeing. Like I mentioned, the program has been wildly successful. We have definitely heard a lot of great feedback from people that have participated who really enjoy using the purifier in their homes and really find it useful, especially when the air quality is not so great outside. But of course, it is our huge commitment to you all to monitor these programs that we have through AB617. And our commitment to bring to you all when we see kind of maybe things maybe slowing down with the program or any challenges upcoming. And just in our kind of analysis and understanding of the participation of this program, we have seen rates starting to decline, even with our continued outreach efforts. And so we did an analysis of it, and you can kind of see that in two different ways. On the left hand is just a simple table that shows we went all the way back to last October, and it just shows kind of how many applications that we're receiving per month for the whole year. On the right side is kind of a more graphical representation. You can kind of see that red line there. The line kind of follows the number of applications we've received per month since October. It goes from October 2023 to September 2024. And as you can see, that red line is a trend line that kind of shows generally the number overall has been decreasing. There are two giant peaks on there that you might notice. One is a really fun and awesome event that we went to with the Housing Authority that we worked with Pandora, who I know a lot of you all know. We partnered with them for their Conway Homes turkey giveaway. And that was a really awesome event. And that huge peak that we see in May is actually the lawnmower exchange event. We also made that an air purifier distribution event. And essentially anyone that was changing out their lawnmower that also wanted a purifier, we also signed them up for the program. So those two giant peaks that you see kind of on that graph. But overall, we are seeing kind of participation rates decrease, even again with that continued outreach. And so really to ensure that the funding gets out to the community, I know that I've mentioned it before, and now, I'll continue to mention it because I do think it's important for the goals of this program, is that we do have deadlines with this funding. So we just want to make sure that we are getting this funding out to the community as soon as possible and still meeting those goals of course, improving indoor air quality, which is so important. And kind of to meet those goals, we are proposing a program expansion to be able to reach more residents in the Stockton boundary, which I'll provide more information in this slide. So again, given that demonstrated need that I've kind of shared, and also alignment with CARB's incentive guidelines, I know that we sent a lot of emails kind of through CARB when this was happening, but CARB actually has guidelines for how we all as, the CSCs and districts can spend our community air protection or the incentive funding that's tied to the SERPs. And so given that kind of demonstrated need of kind of seeing that decreasing rate of participation and alignment with kind of CARB's guidelines and their guidance for how to spend this incentive funding for improving indoor air quality, the district would like to expand the Clean Air Room program to include some other facilities, including daycares, childcare centers, senior living centers, nursing homes, and essentially you might kind of get the pattern with all of these. These are all facilities and spaces that serve what we call sensitive receptors. So they're maybe children, younger folks, or even older folks that are more sensitive to pollution. Given that with
I saw some momentum in the chat. I wanted to flag some questions I think that were coming up.
Oh, of course, I'm happy to stop right here and take any questions.
Yeah, so I see one from Ned of did the Air District communicate with local pulmonologists and other doctors? I discussed with Ronald Cass, MD, and he thought local doctors would be interested. They could refer patients to the district.
This is Stephanie. I know that we work really closely with our public health partners across the whole valley. But if there's someone, I think, and sorry, let me open my chat so I can look at the comment. If there are any local pulmonologists or any medical doctors that you all think could benefit from the information, we're happy to send them flyers for the program to have in their offices or to kind of send out to their patients. I think that's a great idea.
Also saw an additional question from, oh, my apologies.
Hi, this is Hector from Catholic Charities. So would we be able to include things like schools that are within the AB617 zone?
This is Stephanie. Thanks for your question, Hector. As you all might recall, we do have funding, or we did have funding that was allocated to school air filtration. this is going back a little bit of context
Right,
and a little
right.
bit of history. This was something that I think we've mentioned it a few times, but and I think as a lot of folks might be aware on this call, COVID changed a lot of things, especially with schools. As we were kind of rolling out that measure and trying to find interested partners, we did understand from pretty much most schools that we worked with, that a lot of schools had participated and changed out their air filtration systems with COVID funds. And so a little while back, we also had Stockton Unified joining us, letting us know that same thing, and that they did not plan to spend these funds, or the school air filtration funds. And so the CSC actually supported to reallocate those funds to support other kind of in-need measures. So
Great, thank you.
this is Stephanie. This is the history with it. But of course,
Right.
if there's any changes or any, if schools like Stockton Unified wanted to reach out to us to kind of let us know of any changes, we're happy to consider that and work with you all. But that's how we understood the kind of environment with school air filtration, as a lot of schools made that change kind of during COVID.
And I think most of the air filters are not designed for, say, the size of a classroom, right?
This is Stephanie. Through the school air filtration program, they're using kind of through that separate program. It's not like our residential program that's like a little tiny filter for homes. It's big systems that are meant for kind of classrooms and adequate for like the size of a classroom.
Okay, thank you.
I
Thanks
also
for the
saw a
question.
question in the chat from Nicholas from Little Manila Rising. This is Jared, by the way. Is this information available somewhere to access? We would like to share it in an upcoming newsletter.
This is Stephanie. We're happy to share. And we have so many, we go to a lot of events pretty regularly to share this information, but if there are any folks on this call that would like more outreach materials to share with, anyone that they're thinking of, we're absolutely happy to take those recommendations and send materials or information your way.
Stephanie, this is Margot.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were talking maybe 6 months ago or whatever, we were looking at air filters and the various other AB617 communities, for instance, Fresno, they distributed their air filters very quickly, and they used up their funding for it, didn't they? For the residents? And we seem to be stuck.
This is Stephanie. So we have, Margot was mentioning, for those that are aware, we have 4 other AB617 communities, and 3 of our communities have a similar clean air room program for their communities. Fresno has about 2,000 units out. So about double of what Stockton has. We have a community in Kern County, Shafter, and they have about the same amount as Stockton, about 1,000 units out to the community. All of the communities have $1 million set aside, so about 5,000 units. So this is overall, Margot, I totally agree. I do think you noted when we were kind of talking in our indoor air and weatherization subcommittee that San Joaquin County or our AB617 Stockton community was lagging behind a little bit in numbers. But at this point, Fresno has not used up all their funding. Shafter has not either. So what's being proposed here is being proposed kind of across all of our AB617 Valley communities.
I'm just shocked. Let me just say, I'm just shocked that they aren't being picked up. I don't know. I don't know how the word's not getting out. I don't understand, and I don't know what better way there is to do it, but something's wrong. Because I know the people that I sent the flyer to way back when that first thing was, most people took it on, said yes. Not everybody, but, and I'm so sad that our community isn't taking this opportunity. I don't know what to say. That's all.
This is Stephanie, and I wanted to thank you, Margot, for saying that aloud, because I'm sure a lot of us on this call are thinking it, because that's even a sentiment that our whole district team shares is it's a free air purifier. And I think maybe if I can share some, and team, I'm looking at all of you who regularly go to events, you all feel free to add in, but I'll maybe just generally share some of the feedback that we hear when we're out at events in Stockton, when we're out in the community at these events, is I think to some point, some people feel it's almost a little too good to be true. Like a free, I think some folks, when we go to events, tell people there's a free air purifier. I think there's a little bit of hesitation and a little bit of mistrust of, someone who wants to take my information, because there's an application that we do have to fill out for this, but someone taking my information, they say they're going to give me something for free. So we do get that kind of hesitation when we go to events. And a lot of times, normally what happens is by word of mouth. And I think from working with a lot of even CBOs that, that we work with, that kind of trust happens. And, there's obviously a lot of relationships that are in the community already of folks that we work with. And that kind of word of mouth is really great. But again, when we go to these events, that is feedback that we hear is, oh, it's almost like too good to be true, scared of people taking their information, which is understandable. But that's maybe some of the feedback that we get that I think adds into maybe why we see some hesitation of folks participating in the program. And anyone on my team, you feel free, Cass, Rocio, Heather, Sarah, feel free to jump in if you have anything else to share.
Hi, this is Cassandra. No, it's 100% accurate in what you're stating. And even at the events where we physically had the air purifiers in hand to show individuals that, hey, look, this is what you could get. Just give us a couple of minutes of your time. They tell us no and turn around and walk away. So, it's been a struggle, and we've tried every which way, to have the purifiers there, to not have the purifiers there, to, lean on our partners to help explain. And yeah, it has been a very big hurdle.
This is Margot again. I just like to say I don't want to see this money going to these larger entities. I think these larger entities should already be providing clean air to the people they serve. I'm on a soapbox, I'm sorry. I really want our residential places, include, apartments, homes, everything, to be getting these free filters. And I don't know what the answer is. Yeah, we haven't been going door to door, I don't think, have we? Anywhere?
Hi, this is Cassandra. We have been to housing community events, and even there, they will tell us no.
What if they
it has
they heard from a neighbor that received one? What if someone said, "Oh, look what you can get"? Does any of that happen?
When we have been at these events, we've had the air purifier. Well, it's been a split. Some of the times we had the air purifiers in hand, other times it was a sign up. And even at the events where we actually physically had the purifiers there so their neighbors could walk away with it, we would still get no's from people that qualified and could easily get it, but they would just tell us no, they didn't want to give up their information.
Oh,
Can I chime in on this a little bit? I think that it's different in different areas for different situations. What I'm saying is that I think some of it is political, some of it is social, and because people don't want where you getting this money from, and it is coming out of my taxes, and all it's different type of things. But the thing is, we cannot stop doing what we need, what is right, because it's right to do, and as long as we're doing what's right, we got to be there to opt. So we have to hit more social events and go to places where people are paying for events, and when they get ready to leave, they're going away with something for free. But it's not free, but it's something that is beneficial for our health. And so I said that's why I say there are different scenarios. It's not just one scenario, it's different scenarios. Some people just don't want socialism. They just want, they don't want you to think that you're giving them anything. So so I don't want everybody to get depressed or down. Let's continue to do this.
Well, that's true, and I understand some people not wanting to give their information, and I understand you have to get the information because each household is only allowed one. But and so I know that happens. that, darn, I can't keep thoughts in my head anymore. I just, I don't know. Go
Can
ahead.
I say something? I agree with Margot, and I would like to see it disseminated out more to people that don't know that they need them. But have we thought of going to like food giveaways? Have we done that? Heather?
Hi, this is Cassandra. Yes, we've been to food distribution banks to also hand out air purifiers. And again, it's the same thing. You know, some people
like the churches, and I know a lot of those people are unhoused people, but you know, I'd say it's half and half. And you know, I just I don't get it. I mean, if somebody has now I haven't seen anything for a long time on Nextdoor. Can we put something on there?
This is Stephanie. Cass and Heather, you feel free to chime in, but we pretty regularly post on Nextdoor and then also on Peach Jar, which is kind of the school network of like reaching out to parents. We can definitely plug those again. Heather, go ahead.
I haven't seen anything. I'm on Nextdoor pretty regularly, and I do see our stuff on there, but it's been other stuff. So maybe we need to, if we're having an issue with the program, we need to inundate it again. You know, work on push that one.
This is Heather. Hi, Debbie. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Heather.
We absolutely have that in the works, in the general sense. We do sort of have a bit of a cyclical approach. You know, it's a new school year. We'll hit the Peach Jar again, basically that flyers the schools in the boundary. And we've also, I can absolutely guarantee you that I'll get you some more on Nextdoor. I can see that regularly, and it's certainly time for another post. I do want to make one comment. Not to be lost on all of this process is the many interactions that we have had from very, very grateful people. And I don't want it to sound like we're giving up, Margot, because we're not. But we're still powering forward and connecting with people that really need it. And it is going to be a bit of a push, I think. This is going to be a grind, but it's a grind we're on board for. And I absolutely love all the recommendations, and we intend to sort of reset.
I don't know if we can do it to where we can push it ourselves. If we can just say, hey, you guys, this is available to us, and I just want to tell you about this. Anybody that lives in these boundaries, you can have a free, you know, air purifier that helps with your asthma or whatever. I don't know if you got to hear all that, but
yes, thank you, Debbie. I did hear it. Appreciate the feedback.
Yeah,
and do agree.
If I can help it anyway. I mean, I'll put it out there.
I'm happy to send another round of flyers to all of you, by all means. We have these wonderful little half sheet flyers. I think QR codes are here to stay. Some people are a little nervous about them, but essentially, if they're willing to sign up, we make it very easy. Yes.
And need some more.
This is Jared speaking. And yeah, it seems like there's a lot of momentum and motivation really about this outreach strategy. So time wondering, Steph, I know you have some more to cover, and maybe this could be a continued conversation or even be brought to the outreach subcommittees and could be a potential action item if folks feel like that would be appropriate.
Thanks, Jared. This is Stephanie. I have a few more slides, and maybe I I feel like the cogs are spinning in everyone's brain of like what we can do for residential side. And I also want to tee it up for folks to kind of consider this like program expansion. Like Heather said, we of course are absolutely not saying that we're done with the residential side. I want to make that so clear. But I do think just given some of the numbers, we want to make sure that we're still getting these funds and the benefits out to the community. I have a few more slides. And then I think to Jared's point, we're happy to bring this back at the next meeting or at a subcommittee if that makes sense to folks. And then of course, when I'm done with the slides, I'm happy to open it up for some more questions. If that sounds good. I'm gonna wrap up these clean air room slides, open it up for a few more questions there, and then we have a few more updates that we want to share with you all if that sounds good. And so definitely appreciate all the feedback too, by the way. I think there's such great engagement and discussion in this and a lot of great ideas for us to kind of make moves on as to continue to re-engage people in residential air filtration. So to kind of finish off this thought in the presentation, we are recommending an expansion of this program or proposing an expansion of the program to include spaces that serve sensitive receptors, kind of to the conversation about school air filtration. For these facilities do have, they're not a bedroom or a living room, they're bigger spaces. So we would look to do commercial size units, kind of depending on the size of the facility. And of course, we understand that this is, I think priority is, of course, the residents that are in the boundary. And so we really, I think in this initial phase, we're wanting to propose no more than 25% of the funding, which would be about $250K. To put that in perspective, we probably still have about, I think I did the math, 77% of the funding remaining in clean air rooms. So this is, just a portion of the funding, and we are capping that so we can make sure that there is, still plenty of funding on the residential side. And of course, if, the district would continue to work with the committee kind of on this concept and adjust as needed. And hopefully, as you all are getting the sense from all of us, we of course will not give up on the residential side. We still want to make sure that, as many homes in the Stockton boundary as we can get signed up for residential air filtration or air purifiers are signed up. And then so with that, we definitely kind of look, in preparing for this presentation, also wanted to get a sense of, how many facilities or where could this serve? And so thanks to Rocio kind of for doing some research. There definitely are so many childcare centers, daycares, community centers, senior living centers that are kind of throughout the whole boundary. So this is definitely an expansion that could support a lot of folks throughout the entire boundary. And of course, should the CSC kind of have this kind of interest, we'd look to you all of where else we can kind of spread this this funding and spread this program to make sure that everyone in the boundary, especially sensitive receptors, can have clean indoor air. With that, that was kind of the end of the clean air room slide deck. So if there's any more questions, and now I'm happy to take them. But of course, like I mentioned, I know we have a few other things kind of set for the agenda. So we're happy to bring this back even to the next meeting if folks want to continue discussing it.
This is SB. I had my hand up. So in terms of the clean air program and in terms of the outreach to the point that the staff has been making, because of the fact that everyone is facing this throughout the valley, and so everybody wants to sprint, but it's more of a marathon because of the learning curve with our community members. And we are engaged as first person here, in terms of individuals in this committee, so we completely understand it. So when you add to the point that we're talking about, folks that are usually targeted for a lot of different types of I guess scams, you would call it, people are like their doors are knocked on for, free solar and all these other things that aren't free at the end of the day. So we find that there is a lot of pushback, even when we do door to door. So even with, and Margot's very familiar with this, with the Mariposa project, we've had meetings, we have a good outcome. As we do the follow-up, they're like, well, is this really true? Are they really going to help us? Is there this money? And so that's a continuous engagement, and then to bring folks, to understand what it is that we're exactly doing. So then they, being hit by all areas is helpful, and the staff is doing that. So they're going to have testimonials by people, local folks that say, hey, I got my air purifier and this is how it works, or what have you. To Debbie's point, they're working on all those components because everything's rolling out in this phase now with all of this additional funding, what have you, so then it can be done adequately. And so all of those angles are being worked because of the fact that there is a trust factor with our community members, especially for those of us that deal directly with the community members that have language barriers as well. So when we engage with them, we have to sometimes help them even do the app itself. Obviously, the staff is very well versed and they can answer the questions and they can help them on the phone. And we let them know that as well, but they also want to give it a try sometimes online. So that being said, so they're getting hit with all of this information. It is a process. And engagement with our community, with our EJ community members is just that. So we're deep in the weeds right now, getting into that process. So as we move forward, the numbers are going to increase because of the fact that the word of mouth is going to be the most telling for those individuals. And as that happens, that's when we have, what's happened in the housing authority area, because they're all in one component. So, but I just wanted to add to that piece is that that's the work that's being, and that's the engagement that happens. And so when you work at that level, you understand that you have to build the trust in that product. And this is exactly what we're doing. And there's a whole process to that. So there's different components that the air district's working on, and then we're trying to supplement that on the ground. And so kind of that's where we're at. So all of those pieces are being worked on, and then we'll be happy to report back more on those details. So that's just my 2 cents on what we're working on. Thanks.
Are you, SB, are you working in the AB617 area as well as Mariposa?
Yes, we're working actually in San Joaquin County, Stanislaus County, and Merced County for as far as the ambassador component. And then so AB617 is a component of that, obviously. And then, as far as the additional funding. So for example, when we team up, and especially when there's already a trust factor, like with Valley Can, who they already have the vehicle replacement program happening. We've been at every single one of the events that's happened. And especially this last one, when they actually saw the device, every single person signed up. And almost all of them qualified. And that was about 150 people. And so we're at all of those events. And so the first round, second round, they see the flyer, they talk to us, but then we finally sit down with them and they're like, oh, okay, but you're sitting down with them one-on-one. It's not this mass group of presentation. And that's how you obtain the trust factor. So yeah, we are currently doing all that with the AB617 as well.
This is Jared. SB, I see your hand is up. Is that from previously, or did you have one more comment?
Sorry, I just lowered it.
No worries. Yeah, so it's seeming like there's a lot of momentum, a lot of really great suggestions, I think, for outreach. Wanted to pause to see if there is anything else coming up for folks. See a lot of suggestions in the chat, such as sober living homes, transitional youth housing. So it definitely sounds like this possibly could be a future agenda item or continued conversation at a future CSC meeting.
This is Stephanie, and maybe I'll just confirm that we have our whole team here, especially our outreach team, kind of taking notes and taking note of all the recommendations that you all have shared, that we will certainly follow up on. But I think to Jared's point also, I'm hearing that maybe there's some continued conversation that's needed as well. So we're happy to bring this back.
This is
So
Laura.
thank
It looks like Jared
you so much,
froze.
Steph.
Oh, there you go.
My apologies. This is Jared. Yeah, my internet is starting to act a little silly. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot of great outreach and plans to continue this conversation. So thank you so much, everybody. At this time, it might be a good time to start shifts towards standing updates. We'll be receiving some updates from some of the present agencies. So feel free to ask questions in the chat or after the updates are completed. And so I will pass it to Kyle from CARB. Do you have any updates that you would like to share?
Hey everybody, I do have one update I do want to share. We recently put out a request for applications for our newest round of community air grants. That's the Cycle 5 grants. The deadline to apply is November 1st. I'll be dropping a couple links in chat relating to this in just a sec. But basically, coming up next week, we've got the final in kind of an ongoing series of virtual Zoom workshops. For anyone that's kind of looking to apply for the grants, it's primarily going to nonprofit folks like 501c3 entities. So this final workshop's going to be next Tuesday from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. I'll drop a link to the main webpage for this information, and I'll also drop the Zoom link to register for it if anyone's interested. So yeah, I'll stay tuned in just a moment. I'll paste those.
This is Jared. Thank you so much, Kyle. I can pass it to Cassie. Do you have any updates that you would like to share?
Hi, this is Cassandra. Yes, I do. Steph, if you can go ahead and pull up the slides for me, please. Okay, so excited to talk to you guys about some of the school outreach that we've been doing with the new school year back in session. We kicked it off by visiting Roosevelt Elementary, where we were able to hand out over 150 informational packets that were bilingual. And it had all of our grant information, information on how they can get the free air purifier. And this also allowed us a great time to connect with the principal and the office staff. And we were super excited because this school is very, very on board with all the efforts that we do. And it's kind of hard to tell, but in the upright picture where it has the school in the sign, you can see they have our no idling signs. They definitely follow all of our information when it comes to RAN. So we were just glad to be able to be on this campus. Next slide, please. So one thing that is super exciting is we've been trying really, really hard to get into the Aspire schools within the boundary. And the past throughout this initiative, it has been quite challenging to gain access. However, through a contact from another school, there was a teacher that we worked very closely with another school district. She now transferred into Aspire schools, called us because she realized that they don't have any of our information, and that opened the door. Currently, Aspire Schools is undergoing some administrative changes, and so they've been open and receptive to our information. And we got invited out to Rosa Parks Academy back to school night, where we were able to issue out over 200 bilingual information packets to the parents. It was a huge event, and we were super thankful. And again, we were talking about the clean air rooms, free air purifiers, and all the other grants that are available. Next slide, please. And these are just some pictures from that event on the campus. It's right early when we were setting up. Next slide, please. Something that I know we shared with you at the in-person meeting at the port was that we were currently in the process of building this activity box. This is the next piece where we're working with classrooms, and it's finally done. It's finally been completed, and we're happy to announce that we are piloting this in Stockton Unified Schools, and we've already deployed it to 2 campuses. We're about to send it to 2 more up in the area, and it's a whole classroom activity. Next slide, please. So it's an air quality experiment. These are the instructions that will be in the box, and the teacher essentially, they're given 5 paper plates, and it's an air quality experiment to talk about particulate matter. And so they'll set 1 plate up, it'll have petroleum jelly on it, and they'll set it up in the classroom. And then the other 4 plates, they'll put throughout the school campus in various places. After 5 days, then they're to go back out, collect those plates, and carry a conversation as to what they're noticing. Are some plates more dirtier than others? And if so, why is that? Next slide, please. And so we provide, these questions that help facilitate the teacher in engaging with the students as to why, you know, some plates may be dirtier than others. And this correlates to air quality, because we know that air quality can be clean in one area, but if it's close to certain areas that have far more emissions, then obviously air quality is going to be a little bit more dirtier. And so this is just to kind of get their minds thinking about it and engaging the class and teaching them at a young age. So we're super excited that, you know, this box is finally done. We're getting it in the hands. We're also not only is Stockton Unified participating, but we've opened it up valley-wide. And we're anxious to collect the feedback from educators as to, okay, what worked? How can it be better? What was the overall consensus? Like, how do you feel that this activity was, you know, for your class? It's geared for elementary. We're thinking anywhere from kinder through 4th grade. And again, we provide all the necessary materials. It's completely free. And so we're super excited to see this out in the hands of teachers. Next slide, please. Some upcoming school outreach events. Tomorrow we'll be up in the Stockton area at San Joaquin Elementary, again, conducting parent outreach and handing out those bilingual packets just to let them know about all the different, you know, grants that are available. And then on the 25th, we will be at Spanos Elementary for their trunk or treat event. And so we're hoping to sign up parents for the free air purifiers. And then November 8th, we will be back at San Joaquin Elementary specifically for coffee hour, but it's to sign parents up for the Clean Air Rooms program. So as mentioned earlier, we're not giving up on that initiative. We're still, you know, moving forward and trying every which way we can to stay connected with the community and get residents signed up for those free air purifiers. And that's it.
This is Jared. Thank you so much. Margot, I see your hand was raised for a question.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that you not enough was being done. And I appreciate all that's being done. I'm just shocked that there's the response there is. I was wondering, Cassandra, are you connected with all the Stockton Unified Schools in AB 617 area?
Yes.
And
Sorry to interrupt. And we have a great relationship with the superintendent, who just recently, not too long ago, reached back out personally to say thank you, because she's hearing great things. She heard about our activity box, and the teachers, I guess, got back to her. And so then she personally called me to say, hey, thank you for being very supportive of our school district, and any help that you need going forward, just know that you have our support. So I was like, thank you so much.
So things like Victory Elementary School, have they been on your list?
Yep. We've been there as well too. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. This is Jared speaking. Stephanie, I know you had an update as well. Would you like to give that update now?
This is Stephanie. I have a quick update related to our passenger vehicle replace measure that I wanted to sneak in here. But Hector, if you had a comment related to school outreach, I don't want to cut that off. So feel free if you have a question, especially for Cass and Heather.
No, I was just thinking about some of the barriers. I'll put it in the chat. That's okay. I'll let you go on.
Thanks, Hector. This is Stephanie. I have a quick update for you all about our passenger vehicle replace program. We can continue to provide updates in the next meeting as well, but I just wanted to sneak one in because we actually have another that passenger vehicle replace weeknight event. I think you all are aware of them. They're these events that Valley Can or Valley Clean Air puts on where they post up in a restaurant or other kind of area that there's like food and that there's enough space to have attendees sit and relax and get food while they're getting their questions answered about our passenger vehicle replace program. And so they've been doing, since the program opened in June, a workshop every single month. And there's one coming up on Monday, October 21st at 5:30 at Mountain Mike's. We did send an email out, I believe, today about it. But if you all didn't receive it, please just let us know and we're happy to share it. Right now, currently, just a quick stat, we're about 70% of the way through the funding for passenger vehicle replace. So that's amazing. The $2 million that you all supported to reallocate, we're pretty much through that $2 million and we have about 820K left. And so we're really excited about the progress of the program and just want to let folks know that the events are continuing. Please feel free to send your neighbors, your friends, go yourself if you're interested. And happy to pass it back to Jared. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I do see your question in the chat, Hector. Are some of the barriers for the air purifier they need to upload documents from the residents?
This is Stephanie. I'll start the response, but again, feel free anyone on my team jump in. We've tried to reduce as many barriers as we can for the document upload. I think when the program first started, there were a little bit more requirements of what to provide, but we've really tried to make it super flexible, like driver's license, things that we feel folks should be able to just like pull out an event or hopefully have in their car. So we've really tried to be flexible with that. And if folks have any questions or have any difficulties with it, again, we go to tons of events that we try and also be the ones to help physically sign people up. And I also know that from our team, like if you are having issues, you can definitely give anyone on our grants team a call to help kind of facilitate and help that person through the application. Sarah, anything you want to add?
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm in the Air District. I'm the supervisor over the Clean Air Room program. And yeah, we do see that is a barrier sometimes, but like Stephanie said, we have tried to be really flexible. We will take a PG&E statement, your phone bill, a copy of your license, anything related to your vehicle, something that shows the address on there with someone's name, just tying that air purifier back to that house, and that we are indeed sending it to an AB617, the AB617 Stockton community.
Thank you for that clarification.
I have a question on the buyback or the cars. Who sets the amount for the families for far as amounts that can be reached or is over the above the amount, and are they reviewed periodically or do they stay the same?
This is Stephanie. Everett, I think maybe you're asking for the passenger vehicle replace program.
You're absolutely right. I'm a little hot, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and so I think if you're not aware, there are income requirements for this program. And that is to ensure that this program, I mean, the program really is meant to kind of serve kind of the folks that are most in need, that might benefit from the most and probably have the most challenges, like making that transition to a cleaner vehicle. And I believe, and team, correct me if I'm wrong, we follow kind of the federal standards or federal kind of indicators for what I'm blanking on the word. The federal poverty line is what we kind of, Sarah, go ahead. I see you unmuted.
Yeah, this is Sarah. We do have yes, we do follow the federal poverty rates. Currently, we're using the 2024 poverty guidelines. So if they do get updated in 2025, we will update those.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Hi,
And thanks
everyone.
for
This
your
is
question.
Laura. Oh, yeah. Thank you for your question. All right. I know we still have a few standing updates, and I'm being cognizant of time. Wondering if Joyce, would you be able to provide your update in about a minute, or is that cutting it close? Want to be respectful of your update as well.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Laura. My name is Joyce Yee. I'm an assistant planner with San Joaquin Council of Governments, and I just wanted to let folks know, hopefully some people here are familiar with the annual transit rider survey that our agency does every year called the Unmet Transit Needs Survey. And it's that time of the year. So I'm happy to say that I will be presenting next month at this meeting about the Unmet Transit Needs Survey. And we have them open in English and Spanish right now. We are collecting responses through the end of this year at the end of December. So that's what I'll be talking about next month. And I just wanted to alert you all, we do have a couple of public hearings coming up, one at the November meeting next month of the Social Services Transportation Advisory Council, their regular meeting in the afternoon at our office. And then the second public hearing will be December 5th at our board meeting, also at our office in downtown Stockton. So that's my announcement. Thank you so much.
Laura, thank you, Joyce, for that update. If you can please drop your email just in case folks have any questions. I think that'd be really helpful. All right. And Jeff, do you have any updates for Port of Stockton?
Yeah, I have a few. I'll be really quick. We did have a successful coastal cleanup day. We cleaned up an area that was right next to Washington Elementary. We filled up about 3 dumpsters, 40-yard dumpsters worth of material, and we had a really good mix of between our tenants and some of the community. SB's team came out. We really appreciated that. We had our first annual golf tournament, and the proceeds were to benefit Boggs Track Community Center as well as Washington Elementary. We're still tallying everything up, but we're hoping we could raise about $30,000 to $35,000 for helping to reinstitute the after-school program that the community center has had to cut based on funding allocations, and then also to help with teacher wish lists at Washington Elementary. And we met with the new principal out there. We were hopeful that we'd have a great connection, and she was wonderful, really receptive to continuing our partnership. We're in the middle of a back to school clothing drive that's been really well supported by our tenants. And then lastly, we submitted our Reconnecting Communities grant. A lot of you were asked for support letters, so thank you to those that provided those. And that is to study a better route to have all of the trucks that are going to the port, not drive through Boggs Track neighborhood. So we hope that we'll be successful there and appreciate everybody's support. That's it.
This is Laura. Thank you, Jeff, for that update. I do see that Espe asked if you can put the clothing drive flyer in the chat.
I cannot, let me see.
Or maybe the information necessary for folks to know where to go and when it is, the who,
Okay.
what, when, where.
All right, I will do my best with my limited technology skills here.
This is Stephanie. Jeff, if you want to send it to us tomorrow too, we can share it. We can share it out with the committee as long as it's not like tonight.
That'll be great. Yes,
Yeah,
I can do
thanks.
that for sure. I'll try in the meantime.
Awesome. And this is Laura again. I know we're at time, but if folks can stay on for about 5 minutes, I would love to wrap us up and have a little bit of public comment. So I know we had those standing updates. Lovely to hear from present agencies and the work that you're doing in the community. Next, we will just be showing when our next CSC meeting is. So let me go ahead and share my screen for that. So here we are. Can you all see my screen? Yes, okay. So our next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, November 6th at 5 p.m. via Zoom. We do not have a, oh my God, what is it called? We do not have an agenda setting meeting. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. We do not have an agenda setting meeting planned out just because we do want to vet some agenda topics with you all. So for November's agenda, the Air District is proposing to spend the meeting reviewing the draft annual report. So it's about that time again that we review the annual report, and also going through general SERP implementation progress, and possibly spending some time on the passenger vehicle program and the air filtration. So those are some things that we have in mind for next month. Wondering if there's any opposition or any objections to those proposed topics. And as you're all just thinking about that, want to provide some context that because there are plenty meetings. I know some of you are involved in subcommittee meetings and this meeting. We just wanted to really streamline that process and get your input right as we're closing up the meeting to keep that off your plate. So I'll stop sharing the screen. Looks like that sounds good to folks. So we'll go ahead and draft that. The Air District will draft that agenda, and as always, send it to you. And in case you have any feedback, please share that with the Air District. All right, and now I will share my screen so we can review the action items. Okay, can you all see my screen? I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Okay, so we have a few action items. So the first is for CARB to report back to CSC on innovative research methods for tracking how weather variability may impact air quality in Stockton AB617 boundary. We also have urban greening and vegetative barriers proposal have full support of CSC. Little Manila Rising will report on the implementation and process at future CSC meetings. So that's Little Manila Rising. And the Clean Air Rooms program will be discussed at future CSC meetings and outreach subcommittee meetings. Again, that would be a discussion between Air District and CSC. Are there any other action items that you all were tracking that we may have missed? You know, there was an engaging conversation, so just want to make sure that we're tracking things correctly. Right. I don't see any comments or any hands raised in the chat. So with that, I think that concludes our meeting. We do have a little bit of room for public comment, and as folks in the public unmute themselves or raise their hand, want to do a quick plug for co-hosts. So if you're interested in being a co-host for next month's meeting, looks like it's going to be a very engaging meeting, just as today. Yeah, we really encourage you all to do so. We'll be right with you every step of the way, and we really love working with co-hosts. I think it makes, we all think, honestly, it makes the meeting go by really, really smoothly and very engaging. So yes, we'll leave that there. Leave that plug. Feel free to message Stephanie, Rocio, if you're interested in being a co-host. Okay. We did leave some room for public comment, but I don't see anyone from the public going off mute or providing any feedback in the chat. So I think with that, that concludes our meeting for today. Thank you folks for staying 5 minutes past this time. We really appreciate you and your commitment to creating cleaner air in your community. And we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, November 6th at 5 p.m. Thank you all. Enjoy your evening.
Have a good evening and be safe.
Be safe, everyone. Thank
Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.